Hello, I'm Lydia and I help heart-centered and highly sensitive women who feel their emotions deeply to become emotional athletes so that they can do the things they want to do in life without feeling like a slave to their emotions. So today I promised that I would speak a little bit about anxiety, and that was because this week or this month, April, is Stress Awareness Month and IBS Awareness Month. And often people who are feeling stressed can also be feeling anxious, and people with IBS have also got there's quite a few links to anxiety when you have IBS as well. So I wanted to talk about this, how we do anxiety, and that might seem like a really curious thing to say. You know, what do you mean how I'm doing anxiety? It's not something I'm choosing. It's not something I'm consciously wanting to have. So what do you mean I'm doing it? So I will explain a bit further about that in a moment, but let's look at the language that we can use around having anxiety or being an anxious person. So what happens when we say things, and this particularly can happen if you've been given a diagnosis or a label of having anxiety, is that it becomes something that we own. I have anxiety, like I have a car or I have a cat. It's almost like you've gone to the shops and you've decided, I'm going to have some anxiety today, and put it in your basket and take it home with you. And of course, that is not something that we choose. We don't choose to have it. It's not something that we're doing on purpose. It is Anxiety is an emotion that we're feeling because something in our environment is giving us the perception that usually a future-based event is going to be a threat to us, or it's going to be detrimental to us in some way. And so we start trying to manage that situation or control it. Or quite commonly we avoid it. What's the best way to avoid this thing happening? And the other thing about, or the people with social anxiety actually are sometimes it can be past based, and that's usually around, you know, I've been to a party or I've done something or been out with friends and I said something and now I'm regretting it. I'm wondering about what it is their perception was and how do they feel about that? How do they feel about me? So they can be past based, but I tend to find that's more around the social stuff. Generally, the perception is it's a future based focus. And so what about if it becomes our identity? Well, you know, and it's, again, people will say to me, well, it's just the way I am. I've always been that way. And as I say, it's an emotion that you're feeling. And what happens when it becomes who we are? It becomes so constant in our lives that it's now how I see myself. You can become really feeling quite stuck in it and powerless, that actually there's nothing I can change about this. This is just who I am. So when it becomes our identity, it can be quite disempowering as well, and we can feel quite stuck. So when I say, how are we doing anxiety? It's now moving that into a process. It's a verb. It's something that's happening, which is much a better description of what anxiety is, rather than something that you have and it belongs to you. It's a process that you're moving through. There's usually a trigger, there's a pattern that will happen, there's a trigger, and then off that trigger there will be, again, usually quite a predictable sequence that will come off the back of that. And the trick is noticing what's your pattern, what's your sequence, what's the process that you do when you're feeling anxious. Because once we understand that process, we can tweak it. So that's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, is starting to recognize what is your pattern when you're doing anxiety. And as I say, I will give you the foundations of generally what's going on for people, and you can reflect on how are you doing that, how are you processing your anxiety. So I hope you found that helpful. If you can give me a love heart in the reactions box, that would be lovely to know if you found that helpful, or that hashtag replay as well, so that I know that you came back and watched it later. So I'll come back tomorrow and give you a bit more information about the pattern of anxiety and the process of anxiety, and that it's not something we have to own or be part of who we are. It's a feeling we are feeling rather than something that we have. So I look forward to speaking to you tomorrow. As ever, go gently and take care. Bye.